Hello everybody, this is Havoc and welcome back to Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. Today, we are in the World Maps DLC, which adds 10 new maps from across the world. Places like Austria, France, the British Isles, the US East Coast, and even North Korea. That's right, today we are going to be playing as North Korea, but one of the kickers is, I'm going to actually do things like feed my people and, give them full-time electricity and things of that nature. So we're basically going to build what North Korea should have been based on, things that happened in history. So anyways, if this is the type of video for you, let me know in the comments section below, or give your support by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on those notifications. We are going to remind you real quick that I am associated with Hooded Horse, the publisher of Workers and Resources Soviet Republic, but I am in no way being incentivized to make this content. It is simply out of my love and passion for this absurdly deep and amazing Soviet era city builder. So essentially what we're doing is we're playing a little bit of role play. It's July of 1992, which means that we are playing essentially when the Soviet Republic has fallen. It's officially fallen. The worst has happened, all of that sort of stuff. So we're going to try and become energy independent as best that we can. Now, I do have some things set up. I've upgraded a bunch of the roads. I've added just the basics of road infrastructure to give me a good layout so I don't have to waste time doing that on the set. And so basically what we need to do, there are a handful of things we have to establish in order to make ourselves, independent and, well, ensure that my people don't die. And those are simple things like electricity, water, sewage, and of course, food. And so we are going to try and accomplish all of those today. I think it'll be not necessarily simple because it is a very complex simulation, especially what I have turned on and turned off, but I think we'll be in a good place. So a few things just to run down real quick. We do have a population of 8,400. That's what we start with. All these people are full of people ready to rumble in the jungle. They need jobs, they need power, they need water, they need all the good stuff. And that's what we're going to provide. We're going to get some basics going on here and hope that we can build our thriving economy. We do also have an abundance of resources close to Pyongyang, which is where we're going to be residing today. We do have an abundance of coal over here to our east. We do have some iron down to our southeast. We have oil to our very south and to our north. So if possible, we may just get into some oil production early on. Maybe be able to see if we can't fund enough oil production to maybe make some quick, easy money and export to our neighbors to the north, not to the south, because we don't need those ugly US dollars. We have a ton of uranium ore. We're not even close to the nuclear power just yet. And then bauxite, so we can make things like aluminum and all that sort of stuff. So we definitely have the ability to be energy independent very, very quickly. We have a ton of coal here that we're going to utilize in all the best ways to get a coal plant up and running. Maybe we can shift some of that stuff down to the south where our iron mines are, because we have a ton of iron production we can lean on there. And then I have never done anything in the water, and I honestly don't know how you would get into the water, if I'm being quite frank. And maybe it's just right there that we focus on. I swear it is in the water. So I know there are oil derricks and that we can do stuff in the water. I'm not going to worry about right now, but we can totally build a small oil production facility that is just a hip hop and a skip away. However, it is a very long ways to over there. But trains can do a lot of things that we don't have to worry about. Anyways, we need to get started with some very basics in housing, electricity, water, sewage, etc. And one of the immediate money savers that I don't know that a lot of people do, one of the things that I had to remember to do just for muscle memory, is we don't want to auto-invite citizens or immigrants using dollars or rubles or anything like that. We have a huge population ready to work. And so we're simply going to not do that. And they will come in by themselves, especially once we delete everything, because in true Soviet Republic fashion, I'm going to come in, I'm going to build up my big giant neighborhood, and then we're going to demolish all of these things right around our monument to the Party Foundation, because, because we need all the space. What is this? Oh, no. No, we're not doing any of this. No, Soviet republics don't need church. That's for darn sure. So we are definitely going to build a really decent housing block here. one that should house a pretty large population. We're going to give them plenty of room in front here so we can have some good activities and things of that nature. Now, unfortunately, I'm not built, the city's not built square on the foundation here, although I am really tempted to. Actually, we're going to go ahead and remove that. This is going to be a little bit wonky, but I think it'll be kind of cool at the same time. If we did build along this, and then we just slowly stacked those houses. Just kidding, that's not going to work. And then we are going to go ahead and try and guesstimate this structure, this road here, so we can divvy up the neighborhood a little bit better. That is totally fine. All right, so we have all of our people, or at least not our people, but we totally have our first building block in. We've got 8 giant skyscrapers, not to mention some nice red star monuments, so we can start indoctrinating the people, as it were. So now we could start going on our purge. All right, we've got decorations, we've got some activities to do as well, because activities are very important. And we've got our shopping centers and our pubs, which right now, for the moment, we are going to auto purchase because we just don't have the production set up. That's one of the things we're going to work on. There we go. So that way everyone can be fed and do all the things and not die. Now, one of the things I do expect the population to fluctuate. Now, hopefully it doesn't, but it probably will end up fluctuating quite a bit. You can see we're already pretty maxed out across the board. We'll probably have to build some more places, that's for sure. Oh, we did forget about state infrastructure. We're going to set up all of this now, and it's going to be a massive drain on our economy at the moment, but we will recover. We got plenty of money in the bank thanks to our, relatively historical GDP up until the fall of the Soviet Empire. And so we are going to place some services, including, for now, a small headquarters of the party, so we can start making sure that our people are staying in line as they need to be, and probably a couple of finer quality things down here, sort of towards the front line of the party founding. A nice little restaurante, perhaps some cultural items like the Republican Theater, the Museum of the Republic, the Palace of Communism. Oh, we have to have the Palace of Communism available to us. And unfortunately, the pyramid won't fit in downtown area, which is okay. The National Uprising Museum, yeah, we kind of have to have that one as well. It's a drive-through place. Oh, bro. Up for the Natural Uprising Museum. All right, and our people are dying off in huge droves because we don't have water supply, so I'm going to pause this game while we establish those things. Electricity is absolutely crucial, obviously, for very obvious reasons, and one of the things that I've slowly learned over time is that your electrical grid system has to be just top-notch in order to thrive in this game, which means we're going to need just tons and tons of electrical connections and an electrical infrastructure that really builds on itself. So one of the things that I like to do is I pretty much just have a handful of voltage switches sprinkled throughout all of my areas, especially my more heavily dense areas, and then we can expand a little bit easier and with a little bit less issues overall. So you do what you want to do. I totally won't judge anything because I'm not perfect at all, but we definitely need to get our low voltage, and then we also need to have our high voltage sprinkled throughout so we can have a solid connection the entire way, because we are going to have to siphon electricity from, what is this? Uiju, in order to make things work out. All right, so we have power, which should now stimmy the flow of people dying, because at least we have power. We will, oh my word, that's going to go down a lot. We may actually have to build some buildings and import some immigrants just to make this work a little bit better. I am going to go ahead and get citizens. This is extremely costly. I just wanted to let you know right now, I don't recommend it. If you don't have a ton of money, we have a ton of money because, well, I can play how I want to play, and we can totally support the importation of residents if it'll help stabilize the economy, because we are losing just lots of people. We're losing tons of people. So we have our electricity down. I have a rather robust electrical system. As you can maybe see, we've got electrical substations everywhere. and we are rocking and rolling strong on that front. Now, I will say, we are going to expand our farming experience. In fact, let me just go ahead and draw this road, because I know we're going to need it in the very, very near future. And this is where essentially our farming industry is going to be, because it's one of the best places. It's super close to the city. We have natural areas over here to work with and all of that good stuff. And in fact, let me go ahead and just add... We're not going to get citizens for this one, because I'm simply trying to remove all of the buildings that I can here. And then we would probably end up putting 3 more buildings, or at least 2 more buildings. There we go. That does quite nicely. We could probably end up doing that. Okay, so we have electricity. We are still losing a ton of people. Like, we're losing tons of people. Unfortunately, to starvation, I do believe it is. There's lots of people starving. Lots of people don't have water. We should have, everyone should have electricity at this point, though. So that should not be a problem. Actually, they don't, because I didn't do anything over here. Oh, no. Now everyone has electricity. We're definitely not going to have that many people there. That is completely unnecessary, and will also boost our unemployment rate, which is fine, because we need that unemployment rate to actually be pretty decently high. And then one of the things I meant to not do was to not have that there, because we're going to have a bus stop there as well. And in fact, we could probably say the same for at least this space here as well, because we need buses in order to ship people everywhere they need to go. Next up, though, is water, and we're going to place water probably right over here. All of our food industries can really utilize it, so I want to make sure that we have everything going for that as well. Now we're going to have a, get it as well, we're going to have a couple of big water wells here, and we are going to hope that this will satiate the whole process, because basically we need to have clean water access everywhere. Now this is an extensive project, because water is quite difficult to get down. Now they expect a ridiculously high water quality as well. Like, how dare they? Don't know who they think that they are. But in any case, it is something that we need to do, and we need to do it well. So we'll totally make that work. We have our 2 water wells, which will then go into a water filtration plant via a pump. By the way, pumps are extremely important in this game. And then those pumps, we have 3 outputs of clean water. We are essentially going to have a pump come out this way to connect. We'll do this way for future expansion, and then we'll push this way. And then basically what I try and do, and I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but it is what has worked for me. We always want to make sure that our pump direction makes sense. So we have a straight pump access from there. And then we just build a lot of these. I mean, that's pretty much what I do. Each one of these I basically treat as a front here. So then we could build another one right here, and then just start walking it down, basically allowing every one of the connections we have to be split off into the future. And then at major intersections is also where I put it. Again, I don't know if this is ideal, but it does just allow me to have a really good interconnected system that has worked for me. And so to me, it makes sense. If you guys have a better idea, then please let me know, because I do want to make sure I am being as efficient as I humanly possibly can be. There we go. And then this is where you could delineate and go right here, for instance. Actually, this is where a good old-fashioned water thing comes in. Good old-fashioned water tower in the middle of downtown. How about that? And then that means we would need one here as well. Can I? Oh, I can't squeeze that. I think we could make this work. Sweet. If we just push it right there, then what we can do is we can get 2 substations on each side of this, and hopefully cover this entire portion without issues. And now we have workers pumping out 30,000+ gallons of water, and that should bring in some drinking water, and I'm not quite sure why it's not. Well, in this case, it would help if I actually connected the tower to where it needed to go. Now, water quality is at 100%, so we shouldn't have any issues there. Everyone has water. No one should be starving at this point, although we are losing a large number of people still, but I think that's just due to how everything is going at the moment. I think that will change. We just gotta be patient and let the obnoxiously loud music destroy everyone's hopes and dreams for a better life in true Soviet fashion. But despite lots of people dying, at least we have lots of fountains going on, right? Am I right? I do believe that is a net positive overall. Let's go ahead and... Oh no, can I not connect this to a road? Oh no, the unfathomableness. Yep, I knew that would happen. There we go. Now everything should be working right. We want to make sure that the loyalty of the headquarters is at 55%. Students can be a little bit underneath simply because they need to be able to have the ability to do better. We have our hospital built as well. And we are going to go ahead and purchase some ambulances, excuse me, and... Holy Moses, we don't need that many. Yeah, we don't need an MI6. We need like an MI4 at the most. There we go. I could purchase so many of them, but it wouldn't really make sense. And then we do just need a bunch of ambulances for sure. 6 ought to do it for now, and then they'll be able to pop out and start going around and saving all the people and doing all things. And we should see, oh my word, we should see our happiness start changing rather quickly. And everything should be okie dokie. Now, unfortunately, we're not done yet because we still have sewage. Now, sewage is a little bit more difficult because rather than spreading out everything, you're actually sucking in everything. So we have to be much more mindful of what goes on in terms of our sewage pipes and all of that stuff. Now, we could totally do a sewage treatment plant. I'm not going to do a sewage treatment plant. We're not going to worry about that today. Instead, we're going to do what every responsible leader does, and we're simply going to dump the garbage into the river. We don't have anything sucking up water into this space, so we should be good for now. We may have some pollution issues in the future, but that's for future dictator, not current dictator. And so again, it's in the reverse, whereas with water switches, I'm trying to push things forward. We need to have things start coming back. And so this is going to be a little bit trickier because it's just trickier in general. But I'm going to have a lot more of these switches in order to make things work a little better, because I found that it's a significantly harder process to nail down than sewage than water without a doubt. All right, so I built a handful of trunk lines. Well, you're about to see the trunk lines. There we go. There are my trunk lines. And then that trunk line is going to go into this place. And then essentially I have staggered some things. So basically we're going to trunk line to there. So that way these guys can... Actually, we're not doing that. Apologies. We're trunk lining to there every time. So I basically have multiple lines that will all end up just trunking to one another. So that way they can start to loop off of it, basically. So that seems to be, hopefully, a system that will work very well. So that we're all kind of funneling into a singular one. Now, hopefully, in that same breath, we don't overload these single trunk lines here. If we do, then we're in a little bit of a world of hurt. But I think we'll be okie dokie otherwise. Sometimes you got to build a switch or a sewage pump in order to make things work. Please say this works. It does not work. Why doesn't it work? We simply just didn't build it deep enough. And so, yeah, we'll have a nice little trunk line there, and we can expand out and do as we please. And then I probably will even build some more trunk lines here. Just get our switches to go just a handful of spaces there, so that way we can still be a okie dokie. Now, in theory, when all this works, we're going to start seeing a ton of poop start coming out. Oh, no, we won't, because I haven't set up the final point. And so now this does make a really simple process that I actually think is probably one of the better ways to handle this. Again, I'm not experienced enough to say this is a definitive way to make your crappy system work. But it at least works for me and what I need to happen. And there we go. All right, we're discharging 45, get 1,000 gallons of poop a day. And eventually this will all run out. So everyone has just a ton of poop that's been built up. And eventually, as you see, it starts going down. So there is a huge buildup, and we should start seeing a slight reduction overall as things start emptying. Or maybe we don't, and it's just not an issue here anymore. How much volume can these things handle? So I think I still have an issue of just too much poop going through every single day. Okay, the sewage is slow. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right, well, after, oh my word, this is hilarious. This is great, though. We are doing A-okay. Our happiness should start changing soon. I'm not sure what's up with this, if that's a little bit of a bug. We will be okay, though. Everything is up and running. Sewage tank is overflowing. We're working on that. It should be emptying out now. Where are my little sewage pumps? And then last but not least, for our, cultural, structural integrity, as we try and combat the massive fallout of everything, we have our nice little radio station, which should allow us to be able to push some, we do want cultural enjoyment, but I do want a dash of propaganda in. We do want enthusiasm for sports, sure. Anti-religious propaganda is actually what we want to do, because that will ensure that we don't have religious sympathy going on. And then anyone who has a radio will then be able to listen it. Now, that's not a total number of people. It's not a huge amount, but it will work for what we need it to do. All right. Well, unfortunately, we are losing just massive amounts of population. Hopefully, it will level out. I may have to import some immigrants to make things work. But we have one more thing that we need to accomplish today, and that is starting our food production. Because if we're going to do anything, we may not have people, by gosh, but we'll be able to at least say we can make some stuff. So what we need to start is we need to start at the end production of it all. So by the end production, I do mean something along the lines of a warehouse. So that way we can have food that goes into the warehouse, alcohol as well. And then behind it, we need to do our food and alcohol production. Behind that, our grain storage, and then a method to be able to do that. So it's going to kind of from finished to more less refined as we move back here, and we're going to utilize a ton of space to try and make this happen. Now, we have spent a ton of money in this episode as well, but the hope is that once all of this levels out, we'll actually be able to be self-sufficient and not have to purchase all of this stuff in order to make things work, and hopefully increase our rating enough to where people no longer want to leave the country, and hopefully they're not dying and they're just not satisfied. Because yeah, no one's starving anymore, so it means that people are basically emigrating. They are leaving the country, and hopefully that kind of switches things around here in just a little bit. There we go. We're already starting to see a little bit of an uptick. Ever so slightly. Hopefully that'll kind of expand in the future. So we are going to go with our big, giant, stupid sized warehouse because I want to be able to store tons and tons of food in this joint. Actually, we may go less stupid size. At a minimum, I can do a not stupid size right now in order to save a little bit of money, and we can be okay there. Now, what does it take for synthetic fertilizer? It takes chemicals and water. Okay, yeah, we don't want to do that. We're not going to worry about that. Instead, we're going to get our food factory, which you can see we can totally bring in. We would have to get some water as well as electricity out here, which is not surprising at all. I think that will be just fine. And this can essentially make 19 tons of food out of 41 tons of crops, and we need water access as well. Okay, no, that's fine. That's totally cool. We can start with one production of each, and I think that'll probably be satiable enough. Now, the real question is exactly how efficient do I try and build this? I say we just go right here, We'll probably have a little bus stop right here anyways to kind of drop everything off. It'll be a shorter ride for those, but that's fine. And then we do need a distillery, and for a distillery, I'm actually going to get 2 of these in. And the main reason being, if we go into our current prices, alcohol actually sells for a pretty daggum flippin' flappin' penny. And in fact, if we were to go into our consumption of resources, import and export. And while of course a lot of this is steel and all that stuff, alcohol is actually a decent bit. I guess it's not the beginning of, I guess it's not too bad. But we could export it. At a minimum, we could export it by a good large degree. So what we can do here is we can say, hey, what a wonderful time of day where we can learn to walk and play. I think I butchered that. And get along with each other. This wouldn't be too bad of a scenario right here. And then what we would need to make sure of is, yes, all of these guys have road access. Oh, they need an import though. Hold on, we may have messed up. Because what we also need is we also need silos. And while I don't think we need a stupidly huge grain silo, like that's absolutely bonkers, we probably do need a decent sized one. We'll roll with this. We'll roll with this, I think this works. And so if we were to flip that around, we probably need all 3 of these connections. Let's give it some space. And then we can have my food factory, which will import that way. But how will my distilleries work? Can't cross roads over here. It's not something that's doable. So we may only be able to have 1 of each for now. And that way I can at least do this right here. Make this work. Because you do have to be real finicky with it. Alright, for now this is just what it has to look like, which is fine. 1 per, but we have more connections that we can build out of this. So in the future I can still build like another alcohol distillery if we get to that point. But to be quite frank, they're going to be consuming so much that I'm probably not even going to be able to handle that. Which is fine, that's not an issue. It's just something that we have to be aware of, that like I'm gonna hemorrhage crops for a long time before we can finally get sustainable enough to be able to handle large amounts of produce and alcohol. And so it will be probably a good long whiles before we are able to even ever get to that point. All right, so we have that. Now we need our farm. Our farming production is absolutely crucial. We are going to roll with a large farm because that is going to be the most efficient way that we can handle all of the stuff that's about to happen. And even then, it's going to take quite a bit for us to be able to be sustainable once again. So don't expect a super quick turnaround for this. I at least just want to get to the point where we are feeding our people efficiently without having to worry about anything. So of course, with a farm, we're going to have a lot of mechanisms on site. We're going to have a lot of tractors and things of that nature. That also means we need darn fields. And this field is flipping ginormous. I think I'd rather work with some smaller fields to begin with. And we are simply just going to spam the living crap out of all these fields because the farm building can actually handle a ton of buildings if we set, or a ton of farm fields if we handle the settings correctly. And so we have our tons of farms here that should hopefully feed our population. And then one of the cool things that I really like about this game is that we can still we can have all of this kind of be wooded in between, so that way what doesn't get messed with, we can actually create our own little system of a windbreak. That would be relatively normal for the society of farmers to hang out in. So we're going to do some definitely heavy bushes and things of that nature. And for that matter, we could definitely do some, I mean, just kind of have a little nice forested area. We could definitely sprinkle some of that in here too, and then they'll grow eventually. All right, very cool. So now, as you can see here, we can set the distance to a massive range, or we can keep things here, which is still local to everything we have. Now, what we're going to do is we also need to add, there's no road connection here. Did they not add roads? Those darn tootin' things. Should be able to, you know what, I'm just gonna add all of these in there just for posterity and hoping that they will do the right thing. What we're gonna do is we are going to purchase, we're actually gonna purchase our fertilizer from the western side, and then we are going to purchase our mechanisms from the other side. And so we should basically buy a bunch of tractors. We can get a bunch of ZT 72045s. We're gonna buy 8 of those suckers, and then I'm gonna buy, oh, do we really need that much though? 13 tons. I don't know what is normal in terms of what we can make here. I'll buy 8 of those, and then we do need some combines, and that should be pretty much it, unless we have some fertilizer spreaders. No, I don't think we have fertilizer spreaders. I don't think that's a thing. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. Now we could have bought some of these boyos. That's fine. We're gonna kind of keep things as Soviet as we can, and then they are going to start cruising and perusing around, and they're gonna start doing all the things that they can there. And then we should, by the long run, have everything we need in the very near future. Well, not the near future. All right, so we are hemorrhaging just tons and tons of money. That should stop in the future, but for now, what we need to do is we still need to hook up electricity and things of that nature here. We have people who are willing to work, but we don't have anyone to get production rolling because we still need all the fun things to get electricity, water, etc., etc. All right, we have those sewing, but what we're going to do is we are going to import just the bare minimum here, so that way we're not hemorrhaging stuff. But you can see here, looks like we have some wastewater issues. That's all right though. And we're already starting to make food. There's some people working. It's not super incredibly productive, but we should be able to get some alcohol rolling here. There we go. And now we're going to start building that up. Now that's important for 2 reasons. One, we probably could still get at least 1 bus from over here to over here and have that start, so that way we are at least employing as much of the public as we can. Our population is still not doing great. It's sort of starting to taper out, and I say sort of, at least not plummeting down to the depths of hell from all of the discontent for sure. We still have lots of people unable to visit a hospital. We should probably build a hospital over here, even if it is just a small one. Because if that's what it takes to satiate these people, that's a really easy thing to do. And then we'll have people dropping off and going everywhere they need to go. We're going to keep things nice and simple there, so more people will come over and buy food or make food and alcohol. We're going to purchase a handful of ambulances, which should satiate both our health as well as our satisfaction here, because tons are minus 3.9% solely from unable to visit a hospital. So now that that's something, we should be able to start seeing a lot more people being useful. So this means one last thing for our independence, as it were. Now again, these will start building up. They'll start doing the best that they can in the areas that they are able to. You know, I'm not really concerned about the ability of these boyos to handle food processes, but we will be able to start harvesting that in the very near future. But for now, we are getting food. We are rolling a little bit. We probably need to bring in some people, or is that just that many people employed? Do we really just not have a ton of people that don't have work? We have a lot of inactive workers, and I don't know if this total population is from all of these people as well, from all the little towns dotted throughout. But the hope is that we're able to get happiness high enough. Government loyalty is at 36%, which means we really need to start boosting that up as well. But our last little tidbit here to end the episode is to get distribution of our food and our alcohol throughout everywhere, so we can stop importing it and hopefully save ourselves a couple of buckaroonies. And we can do that through our, not our maintenance, nope, that's our technical services, through our distribution. And so we have a big distribution office that we can handle everything with. Now, probably don't even need a huge distribution office. We only have 5 vehicles. I think those 5 vehicles will be enough. We only need electricity. So I am going to build this off-site here, which is still plenty of space should we need any workers. And then all we're going to do is we are going to purchase things that can basically bring us alcohol and food to places. Like, that's really all we need. So we need a covered hull, and we don't even need anything really big because they're not going to be doing super big runs here, which means we can save a couple of pennies. There we go. We're going to buy 5 of those. And then what we're going to do is, unlike the buildings here where we can expand everything that's going on, we do have to manually select everything. So we're going to select this as our distribution. And this is where you can load food and alcohol. We're just going to have the general things. And then here is where we can say, hey, you need to drop things off at these areas when they get low. And so they are going to start doing that as much as they can. Now, am I missing some places? I might be. Pretty much any place where it says I probably need to be. I mean, I don't think we need to drop food and supplies off of there. Not there either. Okay, I think we're good. So then what we're going to come do as our final little bit here, we do need electronics and clothes, but we can turn food off to 0. We can go into here. We can say no more purchasing alcohol. Oh, we do need to add this joint. No, this isn't a restaurant. We can say, hey, no food there. Come into here, no alcohol. No more food for you. And no more alcohol consumption. Or at least no more automatic. And so now what they're going to do, they are going to start pushing things out as we are able to move along, and as food drops and things of that nature, they'll start delivering it over there. So now the hope is essentially everyone's fed, right? We shouldn't have any starving people. We have no starving people whatsoever. However, crime's going to start being an issue, which is hilarious. But we will address that in a different episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, well, we're going to let this grow for just a little bit because I want y'all to see things get harvested and things rock around pretty solidly. All right, it is harvesting season, boys, and we got all sorts of combines going out and doing all the good things. Look at all of those fields. Our forests are growing up as well, which this will look really, really cool once it's all said and done. And what we should start seeing is that here in a second, the semis are going to start rocking and rolling as well. And we can see them start rolling and doing all the good things. Yes, yes, brilliant. We have all the communistic things and socialistic things that are working here. We are going to start making loads and loads of food, which will eventually, we won't have to import the crops here as well, and we'll be good. Now, with this in mind, we are already seeing some issues here with our mixed waste. We have garbage containers that need worked on, and that way we can start doing things with the waste. So what we need to do now, we are food independent, or at least we will be very, very shortly. And now we need to become electricity independent. And we can do that very simply in the next episode because we do have a ton of coal deposits here that we can use to power our electricity, but also we can use our waste, where is it, to create an incinerator power plant if we wanted to. And that's totally something we can do as well, and I think would actually work pretty darn good, because then not only do we could we start exporting things like our alcohol production and things of that nature, but we could also start exporting our power to our socialistic brethren to the north, and maybe even to the south if we have the ability to do so. So right now we're actually not too shabby. I mean, we're ending towards, you know, the end of June, and we aren't hemorrhaging that much money. It really helps that we don't have any issues. We're no longer importing food and alcohol. Like, those are our two biggest things going for us, and I think that's going to help us become sustainable very, very quickly once everything is said and done. So, ladies and gentlemen, Pyongyang is starting to look a little bit different than hopefully it was in 1992 or 1993 at this time. And I really hope that you have enjoyed this first look into the World Maps DLC and everything that it has to offer. Again, the World Maps DLC features 10 different maps from around the world, including North Korea or places like Austria, Yugoslavia, Poland. We have France, so we can build the Eiffel Tower. You have Big Ben over in the British Isles. You have the US East Coast. I'm sure I'm missing a couple there, but you get the idea. This is a fantastic game, ladies and gentlemen. I can't recommend it enough. It is intense. We've spent so much time in this first episode laying the foundations for everything that we need to do going forward, so we can definitely leap forward in the next one without a doubt. If you enjoyed this episode and this type of content, be sure to let me know by leaving a comment in the comment section, by subscribing to the channel, giving the video a like. I did that backwards, but that is okay. Oh, Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. Go play it. I highly recommend it. Or if you want to wait for the DLC, totally do that as well. This is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next one.